Poor company. Try it. Only $300 in savings. You're all talk.
I'll withdraw $15 million. When I said this at a major bank, they looked down on me as if I were from a poor company. The banker who handled my case this time had harassed me in the past. I decided I couldn't take it anymore and was going to make her life a living hell. My name is Emily Johnson. I'm turning 45 this year. Many people my age are busy with their parents' care or dealing with their parents passing away, facing changes in their parent-child relationships. But since I lost my parents when I was 3, my memories of them are blurry. I have photos, so I know their faces, and they seem like kind people. About a year after entering the orphanage,
Your parents were company employees and worked very hard. They used to take you to the zoo on their days off.
I heard that from a staff member, but still, my memories of my parents didn't come back. Instead, most of my childhood memories are from the orphanage. After entering the orphanage, I was so lonely being by myself.
I want a dog.
I loved animals and said this, causing trouble for the staff. But the orphanage didn't allow pets. So the staff gave me a stuffed dog. It was something that had been lying around the storage and wasn't wanted by anyone else, but I liked it immediately. I remember carrying it around with me all the time. After I started elementary school, I kept it in my room, but it was still my precious treasure. Also, when I became a 5th grader, I decided to try making a stuffed animal myself. Using the sewing kit we used at school, I made a stuffed dog.
You're really good at this.
Even though it wasn't very well made, the staff praised me. That encouragement made me work hard on making stuffed animals. I got better with each attempt, and by high school, I was so into it that I joined the crafts club. In my senior year of high school, I won an award in a crafts competition and chose a job related to crafts. After various ups and downs, I'm now at my current company, and I'm impressed with how far I've come. I want to continue living my life supported by the crafts that have sustained me. But recently, I've been troubled by someone. Her name is Alice Nelson. Alice is a 50-year-old banker who lives in a luxury high-rise apartment across from my house. You might think that I live in a luxury apartment too, but that's not the case. I live in an old apartment with a rent of $500, a building over 30 years old. This area used to be a forest with only a few houses, but about 5 years ago, houses and apartments started being built one after another. The apartment I live in has been here much longer and remains surrounded by taller buildings without any renovations. Some might think I should move to the fancy high-rise in front of me. I considered moving at first, but decided against it. The rent is too high, and I don't need the luxurious facilities of the high-rise. The high-rise has excellent security, an observation deck with a view of the night sky, and a party room, and even a 24-hour concierge. But I don't throw parties, and I'm not interested in the view. Also, the landlord of my apartment installed security cameras and changed all the locks to high-security ones for safety. My apartment doesn't have an entrance hall, but it's enough for me since I don't keep valuables at home. I don't want to pay more than $2,000 a month just to live in a high-rise. Everyone has a lifestyle that suits them. Alice seems to like being surrounded by luxury, with all her rings and necklaces from high-end brands.
This is something I just bought. I already got bored of the ring I bought 2 months ago.
When she sees me taking out the trash, she brags about it. At the same time, she looks down on me for my modest appearance.
Aren't you embarrassed to dress like that? Should I give you some of my high-end brand items? Oh, never mind.
Just a week ago, she teased me like this, and it was really annoying. Moreover, she knows my apartment number. She probably saw me going in and out of my room by chance. Because of that, she occasionally comes to my room to brag.
Hey, I had fancy French food today. Oh, it was delicious.
Even though I want to relax at home, she ruins it with her pointless boasting. And she doesn't leave after 5 or 10 minutes. She talks for over 20 minutes.
When I saw that ring, I couldn't help but shout, "Oh, my destined ring." Just like a destined person. It's a destined ring. That's how the world works.
She speaks so loudly and emotionally like this, causing trouble for the neighbors. The walls of my apartment are thin, so any loud noise can be heard clearly. Excuse me, there are neighbors around, so could you please talk a bit quieter? Also, it's already 8 p.m. and I'd like to have dinner. Even when I point this out, Alice doesn't listen.
I'm generously sharing my knowledge with you, and that's your attitude. How about I tell you about the necklace I'm wearing now?
She says things like this and doesn't listen at all. The other day, my neighbor, Jack Walker, came over angrily.
Hey, keep it down. Emily clearly doesn't like it.
Alice looked scared when she saw the stern-looking Jack.
Eek, I'm so sorry.
She screamed and ran away at full speed, and I felt relieved.
It's no big deal. We help each other out when in trouble. But what happened to that woman?
Well, actually, I briefly explained about Alice.
Oh, the woman from the high rise? She's quite the character. But why does she bother you so much? These days, people don't usually get so involved with their neighbors.
I know, right? Jack's question was valid. People usually don't bother someone just because they seem poor. I had a run-in with Alice in the past, which led to this situation. It happened about 6 months ago. I had some business at a major bank branch and stopped by the counter. The banker who helped me was Alice.
Hello.
Alice greeted me, but I noticed she was looking at me with a condescending gaze. I hesitated to mention this to a banker I was meeting for the first time, so I just started my business. Hi, I'm Emily Johnson, scheduled to meet with the branch manager at 1 p.m. I was told to mention it at the counter to be shown to the meeting room. I didn't think I said anything strange, but Alice suddenly got angry.
Huh? Don't lie. Miss Johnson already arrived long ago.
What? I was just confused by her scolding. I wasn't lying. I quickly checked my schedule to see if I got the date or time wrong, but it was correct. Could you please check again? I should be meeting in the conference room at this time and date. I asked again, but Alice wouldn't listen.
I told you, you're the fake Johnson. Just admit the truth already.
No, I'm the real Johnson. I had important business, so I couldn't just leave. Even showing my ID didn't help. She claimed it was fake and didn't believe me at all.
I apologize, Ms. Johnson. Please come to the conference room.
The branch manager, who heard the commotion, came over and guided me. so it worked out somehow. Later, the branch manager explained that there was another Miss Johnson scheduled to meet with him at noon. Alice knew about the other Miss Johnson, but completely forgot about me.
I'm so sorry.
After my meeting with the branch manager, she apologized, but her face looked sulky. She didn't seem genuinely remorseful, so my dissatisfaction wasn't completely resolved. But no matter how mistaken she was, expecting a heartfelt apology from someone who gets that angry at a stranger is pointless. I decided to just let it go and forgive her. But then, a week later, as I was taking out the trash in the morning, Alice came running from the high rise across the street, her eyes sparkling. I remember freezing in fear. "Hey, what's going on?"
I live in that building, and you live in that apartment, right? Turns out we're neighbors.
Hearing that made me feel dizzy. Sensing she was up to something, Alice started saying something outrageous.
Thanks to you, I became a laughingstock. What are you going to do about it?
Huh, it's my fault? It was her mistake to begin with, yet she was holding a grudge.
The branch manager scolded me, and regular customers said they were scared. It's all your fault.
Alice glared at me like a vengeful spirit. Since then, she has seen me as an enemy and constantly harasses me, which is very annoying. I considered moving, but she only bothers me 2 or 3 times a month at most. Considering the low rent, moving just because of Alice seemed wasteful. Alice herself seems to hold back enough to avoid being reported to the bank or forcing me to move.
I found such a good target, so I'm going to cherish you.
She said this creepily with a grin. Some people might think I should move. However, I heard some rumors about Alice and the high rise. Jack, who heard the whole story from me, said,
You've attracted some trouble, but it's just a bit longer. You can just wait and see.
However, trouble often comes without warning. I had business at the major bank branch again. Unfortunately, Alice was at the counter, and I felt like leaving, but I had no choice. Alice handed me a number ticket with an unpleasant smirk.
We'll call you in numerical order, so please have a seat and wait.
The bank was very crowded, and it looked like it would be a long wait. Indeed, I ended up waiting for a total of 5 hours. I tried to work on my tablet and got permission to go shopping in the meantime, but it was still too long.
Thanks for waiting.
Alice called me with a smirk, and I realized she had deliberately delayed my turn. But confronting her wouldn't get an apology, and I didn't want a scene at the counter. I swallowed my frustration and said, "I'd like to withdraw $15 million. It's a large amount, but I've notified the bank in advance, so please process it." I knew it was a staggering amount, but Alice looked at me with contempt.
Poor company, try it. Only $300 in savings. You're all talk.
Huh? $300 in savings? That can't be right. What is she talking about? Excuse me, but I think you're mistaken again. I've arranged to withdraw $15 million today. Please check again. I asked her, but Alice wouldn't listen.
Stop whining, you poor thing. Get lost.
Please, can you get another banker to help me? I tried to get help from someone else, realizing Alice wasn't going to listen.
There are only trainees today, and the branch manager is out. I'm the only one who can handle someone talking nonsense about withdrawing $15 million.
Alice insisted. In fact, the other bank staff were young and looked at me helplessly.
Don't any of you get involved. This person is just blaming us for her own mistake. She's really the president of a poor company with only $300 in the bank.
Alice said this strongly, so no one else intervened.
Stop daydreaming and leave. I don't want to see a poor woman with a compulsive lying problem.
While I was wondering what to do, Alice finally started to push me out. The surrounding people were also giving me cold stares, and I realized there was no point in staying. I decided to leave, but I couldn't take it anymore. I felt a fiery anger rising through my body. I decided to make her life a living hell. The next day, I returned to my office after a lunch break and checked my phone. I had left it behind and wanted to see if I had any messages. I saw over 30 missed calls since 11 a.m. They were all from the bank. I figured it was about yesterday, so I called back immediately.
Well, I'm so sorry about yesterday.
I heard Alice's voice, completely humbled.
I'd like to properly apologize, so could you come to the bank?
Understood. I'll head over now. Luckily, I had no appointments in the afternoon, so I quickly ate lunch and went straight to the bank. Alice and the branch manager, both looking pale, were there.
We deeply apologize for yesterday. Please come to the meeting room.
The branch manager guided me, and we went to the meeting room. As soon as I sat down, Alice deeply apologized.
I'm truly sorry. I can't believe I made another mistake.
As I thought. So what did you confuse it with this time? When I asked, it turned out it was again related to the other, Ms. Johnson. That Ms. Johnson was the president of a struggling company on the verge of bankruptcy.
She is someone who probably only has $300 in her account. I mixed her up with you.
Are you really reflecting on this? That's very rude to her, I said pointedly, and both Alice and the branch manager deeply apologized.
Emily Johnson is the president of a stuffed animal manufacturing company. I explained before that the business is doing well.
The branch manager scolded Alice harshly. Yes, I currently run a stuffed animal manufacturing company. After graduating from high school, I worked at a company making small items and stuffed animals for a gift shop. Eventually, I wanted to create original products that would bring joy to people, so I started my own company. I chose stuffed animals because they've been dear to me since I was a child. I hope there are children who feel comforted by stuffed animals like I did. By the way, the reason for withdrawing $15 million was to transfer funds to other accounts, renovate a manufacturing plant, and for several other reasons. We discussed this during the meeting on the day Alice began holding a grudge against me. With such a large sum involved, I wanted to clarify the reasons for the withdrawal. Still, that's quite a misunderstanding. Why do you keep making these mistakes?
Well, you see, because you live in a shabby, old apartment. I assumed you weren't doing well financially.
Instead of simply apologizing, Alice added unnecessary details. My company isn't that big, and I try not to be extravagant for the future. It's not right to look down on someone based on their residence. I said, my irritation clear, and the branch manager apologized again.
We are truly sorry for Alice's behavior. She will be fired.
Yes, please forgive me for that.
Alice apologized with a hopeless expression. Is it because of the mistakes this time and last time? Or is it because it was found out that she was bothering me near my home?
What do you mean by bothering? Why do you keep bringing up irrelevant things?
It seemed that they didn't know about that, so I decided to speak up as a form of retaliation.
I don't know how to apologize enough. Stop bothering this person right now.
The branch manager scolded her.
Yes, I won't bother her anymore. Please forgive me.
Alice was sweating profusely and looked utterly exhausted, which gave me a bit of satisfaction. By the way, the reason for her dismissal was habitual negligence of duty and harassment of colleagues. Yesterday, when she told her colleagues not to interfere, she was just trying to be intimidating. My issue was the final straw that sealed her fate, and honestly, the bank is better off without someone like her. Alice was formally fired a few days later. A week later, at night, I was working late and took a taxi home in the middle of the night. I saw a woman coming out of the high-rise across the street, carrying a suitcase and wearing a backpack. Even from a distance, I could tell it was Alice, and she was wearing sunglasses despite it being nighttime. Because of the sunglasses, she couldn't see well and tripped down the steps near the entrance. She rolled down along with her suitcase, and the sight was so ridiculous that I couldn't help but chuckle. The night was quiet, so even a small laugh echoed. Alice noticed and approached me, taking off her sunglasses.
Hey, what are you laughing at?
Sorry, it was just funny seeing you fall, I said honestly, and Alice turned red with embarrassment.
Don't laugh at other people's mistakes. You shouldn't be wandering around so late. Just go home.
I had work, so I couldn't help it. But why are you carrying a lot of luggage and wearing sunglasses? Where are you going?
Oh, well, I'm just going on a little trip.
When I pressed her, Alice made a lame excuse. Your eyes are darting around. Public transport isn't running at this hour. It looks more like you're running away than going on a trip.
It's not a runaway, just a move.
Alice hastily denied it, but it must have been close to 3 a.m. Hardly anyone moves at this hour. Something shady must be going on if you don't want to be seen leaving.
Why do you know that?
Alice looked shocked, but anyone could figure that out. Maybe you had a fight with your husband and got kicked out?
Oh my gosh, how did you know? This is like a horror movie.
Alice was so shocked that she sat down on the spot, but it wasn't a big deal. You and your husband argue sometimes, right? I've seen you yelling near the entrance multiple times. Living across the street, I couldn't help but see the residents of the high rise.
You're the one making money, so what's the problem?
You spend so much that no matter how high my income is, we can't save any money.
Alice and her husband often went out together, having such shouting matches. You speak so loudly that I can hear it from my apartment. I know his name is Justin, even though I've never spoken to him. When I said this calmly, Alice looked down in embarrassment.
Oh no, you've heard such ugly scenes.
That's why I thought you'd eventually get divorced and leave. Besides, many people move out of that high rise within 2 to 3 years.
Really? Is it a haunted place or something? That must be it. All these misfortunes are the work of spirits.
She jumped to conclusions, but that wasn't the case. The rent is high there, right? Many people can't maintain that lifestyle and move out. The high-rise is, of course, for the wealthy. Investors and CEOs who temporarily gain wealth live there, but many find it hard to keep paying the high rent and leave within 2 to 3 years.
Oh, is that so? But I had the financial means to stay if not for the divorce.
Alice tried to maintain her pride, but I looked at her skeptically. Really? You were quite struggling, weren't you?
What makes you say that? It's not right to make wild guesses.
Alice was trying hard to argue back, but she was sweating profusely. I have my reasons. First, you always wear brand name items, which means you must be spending a lot. Your banker's salary couldn't possibly cover it all, right?
What? You know the prices of brand name items?
Alice looked at me as if I were some kind of new species, which was quite rude. I work with wealthy clients, you know. Nowadays, you can look up the prices of brand name items online easily.
Oh, right.
Seeing her falter, I continued. If you're spending that much, it's clear you don't have money. I don't know what your husband does, but he must have a high salary. You took advantage of that and spent recklessly, which is why you got kicked out.
What? You know everything.
Alice was visibly shaken, but she had pretty much revealed everything herself. After all, I had seen her and Justin arguing loudly in front of the entrance before.
What do you mean? Get out.
I can't take it anymore. A wife who spends money like water without thinking about the future. What do you think my hard-earned money is for?
I had seen and heard similar arguments several times, so it was easy to guess that she was kicked out because of money. When I explained all this, Alice looked utterly defeated.
In an age where neighbors don't even interact, how did you know so much?
I live across the street. It's only natural I'd notice things. When I said this bluntly, Alice covered her face with her hands and stopped moving.
Oh, how embarrassing. You never know who's watching or listening.
In your case, you're just too noticeable. Even when I wasn't trying to hear, I could hear you. Talking that loudly, of course, everyone would know. I pointed out mercilessly, and Alice looked even more embarrassed and tried to hide behind her suitcase.
I didn't want anyone to know I was kicked out for overspending, so I thought I'd sneak out. Having everything exposed is the worst.
The last person you wanted to know found out. When I said this flatly, Alice shrunk even more, looking extremely uncomfortable.
You're right. Life is so unpredictable.
You don't need to talk about your entire life. Anyway, if you're moving out, you should hurry. People have been watching us for a while now. Indeed, a man behind us was looking at us worriedly. Two women facing each other in the middle of the night, with one trying to hide behind a suitcase. Of course, that's going to make anyone feel uneasy. Oh, it's fine. When I called out, the man left, but he still looked puzzled. Alice watched this with a look of despair.
Why are there people around at this hour?
This is a residential area now. Some people work late and come home in the middle of the night. I explained, thinking it should be obvious.
I can't stay here any longer.
Alice said and dashed off into the night. She was noisy, but if she's really gone, it's a relief, I thought as I headed back to my apartment. However, a month later, I saw the figure of a woman loitering in front of the high rise. As soon as she saw me, she quickly approached. Alice? Yes, it was Alice, who was supposed to have left. I had gone out for a walk to enjoy the nice weather and was feeling refreshed, but that was ruined.
The thing is, I left the apartment, but I couldn't find another job. So I came back hoping my husband would take me back.
So you're still relying on him. Well, good luck with your persuasion. I sighed and started to leave, but Alice blocked my way.
Actually, the persuasion failed. So I was wandering around, and then I ran into you.
I see. I can't help you, so please move. Not wanting to get involved in any trouble, I slipped past her and ran to my apartment entrance. But Alice persistently blocked my way.
Wait, I need your help.
Hearing this, I couldn't believe my ears. Have you forgotten what happened between us? Think about your actions.
I know it's a ridiculous request. I'm just hoping for a miracle.
Why would you think there's any chance I'd help you? I have no intention of doing so. I said coldly and tried to head to my room.
Ugh, that's cruel.
But then Alice started crying.
I'm swallowing my pride to ask for help, and you refuse. You've lost all humanity.
Are you saying it's my fault? Do whatever you want. Acknowledging her own mistakes while accusing me of losing all humanity. It's clear she hasn't reflected at all, and dealing with her is just a waste of time. I was fed up and pushed Alice aside, heading up the stairs.
Wait, are you really going to abandon me?
Alice shouted and followed me, but just then,
Shut up. How many times do I have to tell you?
Jack burst out of his room. At his signal, 2 other residents also came out.
You woke me up from my nap.
You're the one who used to make all that noise, right? Emily told us you left, so why are you back?
Alice was bombarded with these remarks and froze in shock.
Wait, don't say something like that so sudden.
Let me tell you, we've been putting up with your loudness for too long. We have the right to complain.
Jack's angry expression made Alice cower.
Oh yes, I see. But you all get along so well.
This apartment is old, and some of us have lived here for over 10 years. It's a rare place where neighbors still get along well. As I explained in a calm and cold voice, Jack and the other 3 residents closed in on Alice, their voices echoing like they were coming from the depths of the earth, saying, "Go away."
Eek, I'm so sorry.
Even Alice realized this was bad and ran off trembling. "Don't ever come back," I yelled at her, retreating back. Thanks to the power of the neighborhood, Alice never showed up around the apartment again. I didn't know what happened to her after that until one day when I was on a business trip. I went to a diner for lunch and saw her working there as an employee.
What? Why are you here?
Alice screamed, completely flustered upon seeing me. The male manager scolded her. She was so thrown off that she dropped a glass of water and spilled a salad, making mistake after mistake.
I'm so sorry.
You're too incompetent. You're fired.
Alice apologized repeatedly as the manager yelled at her. I had a strong feeling that there would be no bright future in store for Alice. I couldn't shake this premonition. On the other hand, my company is doing well, and our sales continue to grow. The stuffed animals we recently released are selling well, and we're now in mass production. Children from all over the country have sent thank you messages, making me grateful every day for this job. I still get along well with the apartment residents, and we often talk about how peaceful it has become. I'm very happy to live an ordinary life every day. Alice was a real nuisance, but she taught me that ordinary days are precious. Anyway, I want to live my life with gratitude for having found the perfect place to live. Thinking about that, I continue to work hard every day.